Hi everyone. So if you can see the sign there, it says Sulphur Mountain. And what's super exciting about this is that even though it's a little bit of a rainy day, I am for the first time in my life in Alberta. But I'm not just in Alberta, I'm in the Canadian Rockies. And so this is my very first mountain that I'm going to try here in the Rockies, and it's called Sulphur Mountain. This is a really popular mountain in the area just because it's so close to the village of Banff, and a lot of people come to this mountain first because of the famous Banff Gondola, and that will actually take you all the way to the top of this mountain. But if you're like me, maybe you'd like to try and hike it. So that's what I'm doing today. I know it's raining. It's just a little bit of rain. It's not that bad. And if you notice too, I'm using a brand new camera and I put on the wide angle lens. So I've gone from using my cell phone to using my brand new GoPro. So I'm very, very excited. This is the very first time that I'm using my GoPro is here on Sulphur Mountain in the Rockies. So it's a very special moment for me. Luckily, it is waterproof, or I wouldn't have it out in the rain. So I know there's some raindrops on the camera screen. I keep stopping the camera every now and then to wipe it off, but it's just a little bit of drops. I hope you can still see okay. So you probably saw the parking lot down to my right and heard some cars driving by, especially the wheels turning in the rain. It's a very distinct sound. That's because we are right in the heart of Banff. And that's why I said before that this is a popular mountain for people to do because it's super easy to get to. You don't have to take a shuttle here. You don't have to drive. A lot of people will walk to this mountain right from their hotel. So it's very popular, and it's also very hard to do this one. So you can see right now how steep it is going up the mountain, and it's steep like this all the way up. It is kind of cool though because we are in the Rockies and Banff is in the Rockies, so it's really neat to be able to just walk 20 minutes from your hotel and end up on a mountain. That's not something that I get to experience living in Ontario. So this is really, really special for me, and it's something I've never experienced in my life. So I'm so excited to be doing this now. So we've already made it up about the first 200 meters, and you can see how we approach the kind of unofficial beginning. You can see that there's signs there for hikers. So if you are interested in coming to hike Sulphur Mountain, the signs just say be prepared to hike down in case of the Banff Gondola being closed. So if you're deciding to hike all the way up, then you have to come down on your own. I mean, a lot of people take the gondola up, but I think they're missing out on a huge, huge experience here. I think some of them take the gondola up and then walk down, of course, because it's easier to go downhill than it is up. But if you can come out here and hike up, I highly, highly recommend it. So I'm just moving the camera around so you can see kind of past the little raindrops on the screen here that we're in a very, very beautiful evergreen forest on the side of Sulphur Mountain. And the trail, as you can see, is very, very distinctly marked. Right now, it's pretty easy. It's super flat. We've got little pebbles that we're walking on, but it's very, very easy trail to walk, despite the steepness of the hill, of course. But as we get further up, you'll see once we hit about that 5 kilometer mark that the trail gets much more narrow and very, very rocky. So it does get more challenging towards the top. It's kind of a fun way to finish off the rest of this hike. But for now, we can kind of enjoy just the evergreen forest and seeing the mountains in the distance and the relatively flat trail that we're walking on. So you can probably hear me panting a little bit. It is super hot today, even though the rainfall is quite refreshing. But it is very, very steep, this mountain. You can see more mountains in the back there. And even though you would probably get a pretty good view on the Banff Gondola that goes up and down Sulphur Mountain, I think being able to walk the mountain and see the views around it is just, it's such a different experience when you're more immersed into it when you're walking. So speaking of the gondola, here's the gondola trail above us. So you can see to the left and the right that a lot of the evergreen forest here on this strip has been cleared for the path of the gondola, which, you know, I guess it also helps give you a better view. But again, I highly recommend doing the trek up. And the views are just astonishing, and just being able to walk through the forest like this, it's something that I think everyone should get at least once in a lifetime experience, because it is gorgeous, and fresh mountain air, oh, there's nothing like it. So at this point, we're about 1 kilometer in. You can probably hear me talking with the GoPro here. I just like to take little notes for myself along the trail. But what I was saying is that the hot springs are actually right down here. So you follow the gondola strings down, and at the bottom of Sulphur Mountain is the hot springs. Now, I will admit, they're not actual authentic hot springs. They're a little bit more human made. I'm sure the experience is still great. I didn't go ahead and try them out. They were very busy, but it is at the bottom. It's right by the parking lot, and it's super accessible. So if that's something you wanted to try, then totally go for it. But I didn't, and I'm going to continue hiking the mountain because that's what I came to the Rockies to do. So again, just really admiring all these beautiful trees. I was talking to my mom about this, and it's interesting how different the trees are in Ontario versus here in the Rockies, because we get a lot of our trees will get tall, but maybe not as tall as this, and they're super thick and lush, where these are very, very tall and thin. And I wonder too if part of that is just because if it gets windy, some of the trees are a little bit more barren looking. They're not as lush as the trees we see in Ontario. I'm not quite sure, to be honest, but regardless, it's still so beautiful. So you could probably hear me mumbling there in the background again. I'm just talking about how I wanted to slow the camera down to give you guys a view of the gondolas before I continue on forward. They are a very, very famous attraction here in Banff. And definitely, if hiking the mountain is not something you're able to do, like this is a very, very steep mountain, and you can probably hear me panting a lot. I would recommend doing the gondola because the views are still the same and it's still absolutely incredible. Either way, just experience it in the way that's best for you. So as I come up the trail here, you can see up on the right how the trail curves again up on the right. And that's called a switchback. And so switchbacks are just to help break up the steepness of the hill, as opposed to just going up one straight line up the mountain. The switchbacks essentially just zigzag up the mountainside. And like I said, it just breaks up the steepness, which makes it much more attainable to hike. So at this point, actually, I am 2.6 kilometers into the hike. And you can see as I'm getting higher up the mountain, we're getting a better view of the mountains in front of us. So we're a little bit up higher. We can start to see things a little better. So as I walk down this part of the trail, I can hear water flowing. So I'm just going to go quiet for a bit so you can listen to it. I'm going to walk straight towards it. So that's my main trail, but I'm going off to the side here. The water's getting louder. If I didn't hear the water, I probably wouldn't even come this way. So I always like to listen for things like that, so I can go off on a little detour as much as I can. And that view is just breathtaking. And the water sound in the background, The mountain out front there, the little bit of mist because it was raining and now it's cleared up a little bit. So you can probably hear it trickling more now. So that little stream that's running down Sulphur Mountain goes all the way down the mountain and into the river below, and that river is called Spray River. So I'm just trying to give you a really nice view of it. It's kind of hard to see the stream because it's so small, but it's through all those rocks there. So again, I'm just taking my time to give you guys a view. Plus, it was very narrow there, so I was just watching my footing. I mean, this is my first time hiking a mountain like this. Like, we have little mountains that we ski on in Ontario, but this is not comparable. This is just breathtaking for me. This is the first time I've ever experienced anything like this in my life. So you can see that the weather has cleared up significantly. It's really, really nice. We started off with a lot of clouds and some rain, and right now we have sunshine coming out, which is so great. Okay, so I'm taking a second, one, to catch my breath because it's getting super steep, and to show you around because we are 3.1 kilometers in at this point. So for the next 2 kilometers ish, we're kind of looking very similar. So I'm going to go ahead and start doing some cuts just to speed us up a little bit. Okay, and at this point, we are 5 kilometers in, so that's exciting. We're getting near the top. We're going to finish this hike with the beautiful sunshine on us, which is just so ideal. Very lovely. And it's warm, but we have a lot of tree coverage here too, so it's hot. I'm sweating, I'm panting, but it's not like the humidity we get in Ontario. So this is a really nice change of weather for me. But it's just so great. It's cool because I got to start in the rain and finish in the sunshine, so that's really cool. So again, I'm panting. It's getting super, super steep with these last few switchbacks. You can probably see that as I proceed up the mountain with the last bit of this trail, the trail itself is getting much more narrow and it's getting more rocky. So we're going to see lots of big rocks throughout the trail, even on the side. And there's lots of trail or tree roots as well. So just watch your footing as you come through this way, because if it's raining like it was earlier, it's going to be super slippery. Luckily, it's dried up, so it's not too bad right now. So up the next switchback. Sunshine is still out. And right now we are 5.5 kilometers into the hike. We are almost there. So just slowing down to let you see the views around me, because the trail looks relatively the same all the way up, but I really want you to be able to experience the views with me because it's so breathtaking. And I love how up the whole side of the mountains, it's just been constantly trees and trees and trees. So it feels so full and so lush. And then peeking through the trees, you can see all the mountains in the distance. I've never seen anything like this in my life. I can't say it enough. I'm so breathtaking by it. So let's wave to the gondola people. Hello, enjoy your ride. Another beautiful view. Okay, so at this point, we've reached 6 kilometers into the hike. I see someone coming down. I kind of try to tilt the camera away a little bit just so I can give them some privacy without showing their face on the camera. And then plus you get to see the view of the trees, so, and the mountains. Okay, so this is very, very exciting because if you hear that noise, not them, not me going, woo! I'm just cheering in excitement at this point because I see up there on the right is the gondola structure. So what does that mean? Oh, we've made it to the top almost. We got just another like maybe 50 meters to climb. So this is very, very exciting for me. The gondola in the background is super loud. I'm sorry for that. But look at that view. Oh my goodness. Oh, I mean, just being here and watching this again gives me the goosebumps because it was just such a thrill. And this was my first experience in the Rockies. And this is my first mountain that I've hiked in the Rockies too. So this is such a special and rewarding moment for me. So I'm just going to keep going up this last little bit of the trail here. The end is in sight. It's super exciting. I'm super pumped right now. So I keep turning the camera to show you the views. I'm a little excited. So I'm walking kind of fast at this point because I'm on pure adrenaline. I'm like, oh my gosh, the top is right there. But I'm trying to remember to slow down and show you guys the views. Again, you can see that the sky is cleared up, so it's so nice to make it to the summit of the mountain with the sunshine. We've got hikers coming down, so I'm going to move the camera off to the side. Give you a beautiful view of the mountains. Why do we want to see people when we can see mountains, right? So I'm just waiting for them to pass. All right, that was the last switchback. Look at that. So in the distance you can see the center building there, which has the gift shop and the restaurants. So that's where the gondola goes into. So if you're interested in doing that, you can totally do it. Remember, the gondola costs a fee to take. The hike is free. So, you know, I like to save money where I can. Plus get some exercise out of it. Come on. So yeah, so that's the main building there, but who cares about that? We're on a mountain. So I'm coming to the top. Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. This is the view. We are at the summit of Sulphur Mountain. And I'm just coming up onto this little boardwalk they have set up here. I'm gonna shut up and let you enjoy the view for a little bit. You can see the trail down below there.
Yeah, just took a photo of the hike with just.
Oh my god. It's so incredible, the view here. Just being on top of the mountains, looking at other mountains instead of standing at the bottom and looking up to a mountain, we're looking out at mountains. It's such a different perspective. So right now, you've probably noticed there's a boardwalk here. When I got up to the top of the mountain, off to the right hand side was a boardwalk, which is what I'm on now. There's tons of people. It's super busy right now, so I'm just trying to be careful with my camera how I shoot this and still get you the best views. But this boardwalk is called the Banff Gondola Boardwalk, and I'm going to walk it all the way. It's about 1 kilometer. It's not very long. I do highly recommend it because, one, the views are just incredible, and I am very partial to boardwalks. I think they're super lovely, and it's just a boardwalk through the mountaintop, so you really can't go wrong. There's lots of places to sit. I've passed tons of people who are sitting, eating their lunch. It's super cute. I think it'd be super peaceful to do that. But again, you can see all of the beautiful mountains in the background. Oh my gosh, I could gush about it. It's just so lovely. So I'm really trying my best to just be careful not to film too many people. And I'm just proceeding down the boardwalk gradually and just showing you around and trying to get you all the views in a 360 way. Because it's just, I mean, the view kind of just speaks for itself. But so like I mentioned before, this is the Banff Gondola boardwalk, and where it takes me is to the historic Sulphur Mountain Cosmic Ray Station National Historic Site. So we are going to make our way there. It is a National Historic Site, so I'm already intrigued just to go see it. And plus, why not? We're already up here. This gives me a chance to catch my breath and just take in all these glorious, glorious views. So we are still on Sulphur Mountain. It is a very big mountain. It's just that one part of the mountain where the trail is designated. The rest of it spans over further to the right. And then you can see, of course, how we are on the boardwalk that covers the top of the mountain. So that's the boardwalk down below. So I've just been trekking along it. It is such a lovely walk. And it's a good way to catch your breath too. Let the sweat dry, you know, get some water. So again, I'm just being careful with the way I film because it is busy. There's lots of people around. So this here saying I have arrived. So this is actually called Sanson Peak right now, the historic site. Sanson Peak is the highest point on Sulphur Mountain. And so this here in front of me is a weather observatory which operated from 1903 until the mid-1930s. And Sanson Peak is actually named after a man named Norman Sanson. And apparently he was the federal government's official weather observer. And he climbed Sulphur Mountain more than 1,000 times to collect weather data. Could you imagine? I climbed it once and whew, man, 1,000 times? Now that's impressive. So as always, I want to leave you with some pictures as I go over the stats. So the length of the trail today was 13.86 kilometers long. Now that's including the boardwalk, and that's including me hiking up and down the mountain. So if you went one way, it would only take you about just under 6 kilometers to do it. And it took me a total of 3 hours and 53 minutes. That's also including the boardwalk. And the elevation gain was 816 meters. So it's not the highest mountain you can climb, but it is very, very steep, but very, very worth it. So as always, thank you so much for joining me, especially on my first trip in the Rockies. It's been so exciting. And as always, keep trekking.